Hi guys, welcome back to Pillars in the Shop. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed Candace's YouTube video on refinishing that entertainment center in her living room. She worked very hard on it. She's very proud of it too. And since she did her video, now it's up to me to do one. Not that it's tit for tat for us, but you know, we both got to contribute, and so it's my turn. So anyway, I'm gonna make something I haven't. I'm gonna attempt to make something I haven't ever made before. I'm trying to make a wall sconces, lighting wall sconces for like a patio, porch, something like that. And I'm gonna do it with a light with candles. And I'm gonna use some treated lumber and 4x4, I think it's 3.5 by 3.5 block. And actually some leftover deck boards, treated deck boards. So I'm gonna drill holes in the I keep saying 4x4, it's really like 3.5 by 3.5, of course, but I'm gonna drill holes in them to drop the candles. They're in a glass container. And I'm also gonna cut some slices in those 4x, 3x, and so that it looks like the light can come through from the sides, not just the top, but also from the sides. I've seen that done with other videos. I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to do it, but I'm gonna give it a try. So let me show you just exactly what we're gonna use. So this is material, and yes, I measured that 4x, and it is, of course, they call it a 4x4, but it's really 3.5 by 3.5. I'm gonna start out by cutting the ends off, get them squared up, probably cut just below this knot, and cut the other one because it's not exactly square. It was cut off a post that was standing up with a sawzall, but I'll put it on my chop saw, and I'll get them all squared up. And then, as I said earlier, I plan on drilling a hole right down the middle here with this bit. Hoping it gets the job done. It's a China special. Wasn't super expensive. I just need to drill 3 holes. And if it does that for me, it's worth the whole 10 bucks I paid for it. Once I get the holes drilled, then I'll go down. My plan is to go down 5/8, cut my first cut, probably go down to 3/8 to 1/2 inch, make my second cut, same thing, 3/8 to 1/2 inch, make my fourth cut. Not too sure how much space I'll put in between them. I'll decide that after I cut get them cut and get the holes drilled. The holes, when I make those cuts, I'm gonna set my table saw deep enough to where it goes just halfway in here. And that should expose the candlelight to where it shines out of 3 different sides, both sides and the front, plus out of the top. And I think it's gonna make a nice effect. I think it's gonna make a nice effect when they're lit up at nighttime. You know, they won't be super bright, but you know, it'll ambient lighting, I guess you would call it, just something for the mood. And I don't know if I want to call it mood lighting either, but I think it's going to be nice. I'm going to mount these 4x4s, candle holders, on these right here. Like I say, this is decking, leftover decking from a porch we did out here recently. I'm gonna put one at the bottom here, one at the top, another end. I'll put one in about the middle. You can't just stack them up; they'll be too close together, and we may cause could be too much heat on the bottom of the one in the middle and the one at the top. The one on the bottom will put too much heat on the one in the middle, and one in the middle will put too much heat on the bottom of the one at the top, and it could cause a fire. And we don't want to do that. Now, how long I'm gonna keep these boards? I'm not sure. It depends on when I cut these 4x, how much it looks, how well it looks, how long I think it needs to be. I would like for these boards here to be no longer than these things. Yeah, you can't see it if I'm not showing you the camera. So when I cut these the length I want them, then put them end to end and measure it. I don't want those boards much longer than that. Because like I said, I put one on the bottom here, one on the top on the other end, and one in the middle. And I'm not decided if I actually want to tie these 2 together or not, or if I just want to make it so that they can be hung on the wall independent. If I tie them together, I'll definitely do, as I said, one on the bottom, one on top, one in the middle. if I choose not to tie them together, I have enough, I may have enough 4x and enough of this here to do 2 with one on the bottom, one on top, one on the bottom, one on top, or not really all the way to the bottom. If I decide to do 2 on each one, I'll put them, I'll make a measurement and put them where they look nice, not just have one all at the bottom or the top. That would look kind of silly. I don't know, split the difference or whatever, but I'll figure out then exactly what I want to do with them. So the next thing for me to do is to take the 4x over there to my chop saw and cut the end off where that knot is, cut the end off, square the other end up and see exactly how much of that I have left. Do some measurements with my candle and see if I can make 3 or 4 out of it. So let's get cracking. All right, so I got the ends of my 4x4 squared up. So I've sat here and done some measuring, trying to decide exactly how I want to do it. I'm trying to lighten it up some because I think it's gonna be a little heavy, a little awkward. Maybe so I'm gonna trim them up some. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do. We'll see how that works out. So I decided on the 4x4, which of course is 3.5 by 3.5. I'm gonna cut it at 3.5. Now I'll make a square block. This whole block is 17.5 inches, so I can get 4 out of it, and I will go ahead and cut 4 out of it. After I get those cut, these here, of course, are 5.5 inches. I'm going to take them down to 4, maybe 4.5 inches. Leave a 1/2 inch on each side of where I put the block on there for the candle. But I'm gonna try to lighten them up some, and I probably will take some of the length off of them as well. Once I get these cut, I'll drill the hole in the center of it using this drill bit right here for the candle to sit in. As I showed you earlier, it's not the best in the world, but it's got to drill 3 holes. It's not going to go really, really deep, so it's going to be a challenge to get it where I want it, to get the candle where I want it, but I don't have it hooked to the drill press yet, so it may work out just fine. But first, I'm going to take this 4x4 over there, and I'm going to trim it down to cut off 3.5 inch blocks, just like that. So I'll get y'all set up on a tripod, so I know you can watch this most exciting thing you've ever seen in your life, and that's someone cutting blocks out of a block. Gosh, I sure would hate for y'all to miss someone cutting blocks out. But I'll set you up. There won't be any sound to it because I'll have a fan running to kind of push the sawdust out the door. And of course the saw makes much noise, so I'll probably override it with some music when I do the video. But you get the idea of what I'm going to do. So I'll get you set up over there. We'll get these blocks cut. All right, well, I got all the blocks cut. 3.5 inches long. I was going to show you at least 1 or 2 of those cuts, but I forgot to turn the camera on, so y'all gonna have to miss out on that fine piece of videography, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna drill the holes and end them for the candle. This might be a little bit of a challenge, and I don't know if I can get my drill bit to go deep enough, but we'll try, and if it does it, we'll figure out a way to make it happen. Anyway, I'm gonna show you at least 1 of the holes being drilled, and I won't bore you with the other 3. But here we go. Wow. It cut much better than I really thought it was going to cut. I'm going to get my blowers, watch your ears, and blow this stuff out the door. All right, well, let's take it out of there and see how the candle fit. We'll be right back. All right, we got the first block drilled, but it didn't go deep enough. Let me show you what we got. You can see it sticks out about 1/4 inch or so, and I really like for it to go all the way down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this block of wood, this 3/4 inch. I like for it to go 3/4 inches deeper. Put it under this one. I'm going to cut it 3.5 inches back. That way it should fit in within the vise on the drill, since this is 3.5 inches. And I can press it all together, put this under it as a shim, and get 3/4 more of an inch. And that should drop that down into that block of wood by 1/4 inch right where I want it. Give it a try and see how that works out. Well, I got a shim under it. We'll see if it's gonna work or not. It didn't cut exactly right length, but it may still get the job done. Watch your ears. All right, now let's go see if our candle fits the way we want it. All right, there's the one we just drilled with the shim under it. Let's see. Voila. That's exactly what I wanted, because I wanted to have it below the top here. And so when I cut those lines across here, I was saying, they should have light glowing out of them. They should look pretty neat. So now you got an idea what I'm doing. Sorry I didn't show y'all me cutting those at 3.5 inches. You've seen chop saw work before. So now I'm gonna drill the other 4. And I drill it, then shim it, and drill it again, and do another one the same way. Like I bore y'all like that. When I get them all done, we'll start getting the lines cut across them as I was telling you about earlier. I'll be back in just a second. Well, guys, it's the next day. Got all the blocks cut, got all the holes drilled in them. So now I need to cut those slots I was telling you about so the light can come through. And what I'm gonna use is my table saw. And I have a jig I built last year, but I've never used it, so I still got to prep it a little bit. And let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can see, you may have seen these before. This jig is built with these rails underneath. Hope you can see them. Let me try the other side, we get a little more light. There we go. They're built with those rails underneath, and they fit down in those slots on the guides on this table saw deck. As you can see, there is no cut down the middle because I have never used it. I've never run the saw through it. So I've got to do that first, go ahead and prep it. Now I'm only going to cut about this high on this backboard right here, about that high on this backboard, because I don't plan on ever putting anything probably much wider than this in here. This is just so I can use smaller pieces. This jig is mostly so I can make cuts in smaller pieces, and it'll be safer for me that way. So I'm gonna make that 1 inch cut across it, all the way across, and then I'll back it up in the middle. Then I can bring my blade up how high I want to cut against this wall closest to me. May sound confusing, So I'm gonna put you in the tripod, let y'all see exactly what I'm doing, and you'll understand very quickly. Stand by. Okay, as you can see, I brought my blade up to 1.5 inches to make my initial cut on my jig. So let's see how this works. All right, that went about as well as I could have expected. So now, I've got a test piece here because you can see I got the circle off center. So I'm gonna use this one for my test piece. And I'm gonna raise the blade up an additional, since these are 3.5 inches wide, I'm gonna go just 1.5 inches, and that's gonna be close enough to the center that I think it's gonna do exactly what I want to do. So I'm gonna raise it up another 1.5 inches. Pretty close. What we're doing, it doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, it stops when it hits the backboard. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, because I have never done this before. But I know what a good thing is I should be able to do this and keep my fingers away from it. And that's the whole plan. So since I want this at, starting at 1/4 inch, there we go, there's my pencil. I'm gonna make me a mark at 1/4 inch. And what I'm going to do, I may end up having to add another board there, because I don't like the fact that the saw blade is in here with me when I start. But for now, I think we'll be okay as long as I'm really careful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put me a stop block right there at 1/4 inch to hold this in place, and we'll make our first cut. So stand by. Okay, found me a stop block. I'm gonna move it right up to my mark. It doesn't have to be exact because I'm not building furniture. One thing I do have to remember is the side I want exposed, that I want everybody to see, is the side I have to put down. So if this was a good block, that would be the side. So let's I think I'm gonna run it on through here so that when I push this, it doesn't hit this and cause a problem. So stand by. All right, let's try one cut on it. Okay, hope y'all can see that. And that's what I was shooting for. Now, something about my block here isn't right, because I noticed that it was, see how it moves a little bit? I have a very, I guess you could say, a poorly made jig. So I may have to make it again someday, get it a little tighter. It's wanting to do this right here. And that's really don't want it to do that. But let's see if we can get 2 more marks out of it. Let me unplug this thing while I'm making these marks. Keep your hands close to that. The blade really should do that. Now I'm gonna do from the back side of the blade this time. No. All right, so we'll make my next mark at a 1/2 inch. Mark after that at 3/4. See how that works out. What? Plug it in. All right, let's give her a try. All right, let's try the 3/4. Okay, that's what we come up with. Whether or not that's perfect, it's the way we want it, I don't know, but we'll talk about it. Okay, guys, we're gonna go in my Connex. Let me get this camera right. Okay, guys, we're gonna go in my Connex, put a candle on that one I just did. See how it turns out. See, it's worth it doing the other three, and I think it will be. I like it. I like the way it turned out. Be sure to y'all see what y'all think about it. And we're in my Connex. It's the only place I can get any darkness. So. So what do y'all think about that? I kind of like it. I think it's going to work out just fine. All right, let me get the other three done. Let me show you where we're at so far. I was going to tell you guys, in the interest of brevity, there's a lot of stuff I didn't film. I just hadn't done it, but that's not true. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with my camera. I'm thinking I have it on, but apparently I don't. I have it on, or I'm not hitting record correctly. So I lost some more excellent videography, but that's okay. Let me tell you what I've done with it so far. I took these boards here, as you can see, as I've narrowed them down to be the same width, because these are square. I made them 3.5 by 3.5 by 3.5. So that's what these are. So I made everything square. And I did both boards, cut them down. So I also have decided to mount them this way on the boards. Instead of, I was going to do them long ways, and put them up like this. But I think it's going to be harder to hang it on the wall doing it that way. If I leave them sideways, then I can put some hangers back here on this top board pretty easily, and it will be much easier to hang on the wall. So right now I've already sanded them a little bit, got these two boards glued together. That's what this is holding them together, because I don't have a clamp wide enough to clamp it. So now what I'm gonna do the rest of it, for the last thing I'm gonna do today, is I'm gonna glue these to these boards here, and then I'll leave them overnight, and then we'll come back tomorrow. And really won't be, only thing really be left is to flip it over and reinforce the back some. Put some ways to hang it back there. They put a few screws and countersink them for the candle holders. Then Candace will put a stain on it and make them look pretty good. As good as they're going to look, because of really poor carpentry work I've done to them. But I'll get them glued, and then we'll come back tomorrow and finish them up. May not get them stained tomorrow. We'll try. Kids have a lot of ball games right now. They're playing softball and baseball and everything. So our evenings are usually pretty busy. Matter of fact, we got a game tonight that starts at 7. But if not, once we get it stained up, then I'll give you all the final look at it and see what you think.